We all love Mission Plaza, but it's important to recognize that it wasn't always there. Hi, I'm Pierre Rademaker, and I've been in town since about 1972. I came to San Luis Obispo to teach at Cal Poly. I'm an amateur historian. I love San Luis Obispo's history, and I'd like to share some of that with you. When we think that we know something, like the mission, at least we think we're familiar with it. If we go back and really look at its history, it's gone through enormous changes. This first shot is about 1794. We think it's 1772, but it's actually a little newer than that because it was moved from the floodplain at the bottom of Dana Street. So in about 1865, it looked like this. Now in 1816 is when they built the colonnade. You can see the colonnade there. There's 11 columns. That's symbolic of the 12 apostles minus Judas. So there's 11 columns. It's kind of a bit of minutia that you might want to share with your friends. And the mission looked like this until about 1875. In 1874, actually, was the first sidewalk in town, and that's in front of the mission. You can see it here. And this is the mission prior to its encapsulation in wood. It had wood framing put around it, and that's the next picture here. You can see what happened. They got this kind of New England idea that a bell tower would be kind of a fun thing to do. So they did that, and it remained covered for quite a while. That L was built in 1893, and you'll also notice that it's not the same L that's there today. It's a lot shorter. The current L was extended in 1947, so that's quite a bit later. And the other thing you'll notice if you look at this picture is that the stairs don't line up with the entry the way they do today. The stairs were moved over quite a bit later. 1900, the mission is like surrounded by buildings. It's a main street in town, and for long before Higuera was important, Monterey was the road to Monterey, which was the state capital. So it was extremely important. So this was taken at the intersection of Monterey and Choro, and at this point you can see the French Hotel on the left, and then there's a tenement building on the right, and it's really apparent in this picture a little bit later how tightly situated the mission was in the downtown itself. The mission looked this way until 1934, and in 1934 it was restored to what is fairly close to the original appearance. It's not quite the same, it's a little different, the detailing, but it's very, very close. And you can see here now the steps have been moved, they're over adjacent to the entry. Here it is in the 1940s, and it looks pretty much the way it looks today, except we've got a street there where the plaza is. And then by the 60s, the buildings adjacent to the mission were demolished, and the buildings across the street were demolished with the exception of the Murray Adobe. Now, mid-60s, don't exactly know the date of this, I think it's 1967. This is the plan for the Mission Plaza. The traffic was rerouted temporarily. We're using these temporary planters and bollards and just to study what would happen if they closed the street. And this was done in about 1968, and then shortly thereafter, Madonna Construction was hired to do the actual construction. And then today we take it for granted. There it is. The planting has matured. It's a wonderful place to be, and it becomes the kind of the cultural center of our community. But the point of all this is to show you that things that we think are the way they have always been have not always been that way. They've changed in many, many ways, and sometimes it's directed, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's planned, and sometimes it's accidental.